Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So for tonight we will discuss about Arduino Uno Unity Multiplayer Traditional Board Game (SOS). Our project manager is Hajrul Khaira. The group member is Muhammad Lakiboy Francisco as the group leader, and then Nurul Zalita Pratiwi, Joy Putri Asibuan, Raihan Bayhaki, and last but not least is Intan Permatasari Siburian. Project description. In this project, our goal is to create an Arduino Uno multiplayer traditional board game. The game project that we will create designed to involve the physical and digital world. In general, this traditional SOS board game includes concept design, designing an attractive physical and digital game board display, hardware design, selecting appropriate Arduino components as buttons to mark boxes, LEDs for indication, Arduino programming, writing Arduino code to read input from the selected box button, Unity programming, creating a 3D or 2D display of the SOS game board, as well as testing and debugging, testing the functionality of hardware and software and fixing bugs that appear. Next, Joy Hasibuan.
The next slide is contribution of the course to PBL, hardware programming, provide in-depth understanding, control and programming of various types of hardware with software, including IoT and other physical device. 2. Game programming. The game programming course provides a strong foundation in the development of digital games and physical interaction through the integration of hardware and software, especially in the context of projects that combine aspects of physical and digital games. 3. Artificial intelligence makes a contribution in game creation to personalization of the gaming experience. 4. 3D animation make important contribution to game development, especially in creating attractive visual. The next slide is contribution of the course to PBL 5, English communication. This course helps develop speaking, writing, listening, and reading skill in English. Next, Pancasila education explain and develop the urgency of implementing Pancasila values in daily life and its challenge in the future. Next, entrepreneurship provide an understanding of the strategy, challenge, and basic.
Okay, history logbook. Week 1, introduction of the new group members with the title PBL Arduino Uno Unity Multiplayer Traditional Board Game. SOS. Week 2, discuss to create on an overview of the mapping flow of the project that will be done and determine the project specification. Week 3, design a 2D schematic joystick prototype. Week 4, making an initial prototype of an IoT joystick using an ESP32 microcontroller. Next, week 5, testing serial code on Arduino Uno. Week 6, in this week, prototype of the SOS Board Game. Week 7, creating a GitHub report for the PBL project. Week 8, prepare the required file for the mid-semester assessment. Next, week 9, as at the stage making a proof of concept of the game. And last week 10, made a second change and commit in the team's GitHub report to add the new folder and bold. Next slide, Raihan Bayhaki.
Right, so this is the game project progress slide. This is the first part, which is the alpha stage. In this current stage, I coded a simple SOS based type game comprising of a scene and a white box prototype. It's a very simple iteration. I just created a white box scene and also created 9 different cells so you can put X or O on the board. Also, there's no advanced implementation yet since this is a very early stage. Next slide. This is the second phase, which is the beta phase of the game. In this stage, I created a simple 2D based proof of concept. So as you can already see, the system already working properly, and I already polished the first iteration a bit better. Next slide. This is the project regarding testing the IoT and creating the joystick. On the center, as you can see, is the device testing. So I tested whether the joystick can read the input and also whether the button can read the input. This is the joystick testing. As you can see, the coordinate changes. And also the one above is the number testing. Since when I press the button, number 1 beeps. This is the Arduino Uno, the schematic prototype, the earlier prototype using ESP32, and this is the current one, a joystick-based Arduino Uno device. I soldered a bit. Next slide. This is the current iteration of our project. I finally made a 3D based game from the beta phase, so I can consider this a almost final phase and the one that I will improve on iteration. So the basic concept of the game is that to make this SOS based game more unique, I created a 3D based environment. So instead of a simple 3x2 grid, I created a 3x3x3 3D grid. So a player can put the plates on either top, middle, or bottom. So a player can either win horizontally, vertically, or even diagonally. That's what makes the game unique compared to several other different tic-tac-toe or SOS based game. I basically created a cube-like environment and playing area. So instead of a simple 2D grid, I created a 3D based grid. Right, next slide. Next will be spoken by Intan Pamatsari.
Apa bacanya nih?
Test of each
Test
division.
of each division.
Division gitu.
SD ya sih?
Iya makanya. Udah.
Ini nanti diubah.
The next slide. Text of each division. Lucky Boy responsible for coordinating the team. Nurul Zalita responsible to completing document. Joy Putri Hasibuan responsible for completing documentation. Raihan Baihake responsible for assembling required IoT component and game programming. Intan Permatasari responsible for completing documentation. Next slide. Difficulties during PBL progress. During the project, we faced several obstacles, both technically and internal. Technically, there were several programs that did not work as well as internal. There were also some conflict of opinion regarding our game concept. However, with various revision and discussion, we managed to overcome this obstacle.
Okay, that's all from us. So for tonight, we will done here for today. And thank you for you all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.